His tests have failed.
You know, it is a process that millions of American workers go through every year, drug testing. The trend started back when President Reagan ordered that all federal employees be tested, and since then, most companies, both public and private, have either picked up on the idea or at least thought about it. Now, a lawsuit in Portland, Oregon may have employers right across the country rethinking that policy. Yasuko Ishikawa was fired from Delta Airlines after a drug company claimed her urine test had been altered. She sued the lab, and she won a whopping jury verdict last week. She joins us live from Oregon this evening, and also along with her is her attorney, Greg Kafoury. Thanks to both of you for being with us. Yasuko, let me start with you on this. This is quite a case. It sounds as though it's one of the first of its kind. Take me back, though, to where it all started. Back in 1999, your managers called you in, told you you were fired from your job as a flight attendant because your urine test at the drug lab had been altered. What happened?
I was told that my sample was substituted, and substituted is refusal to the test. So they are going to terminate me. That's I was told first time.
And as I understand it, what they're looking for essentially when they do these tests, sort of the veracity of the actual urine sample, they're looking at creatine levels, because if they're very, very low, it shows that the urine may be watered down, and that's what they suggested had happened to your test. Was the level just too low in their eyes, or was the level of creatine in your urine sample really low?
My creatine level was 5, and they're testing for validity test, and according to their word, my sample wasn't human urine.
Well, what doesn't make sense to me is that you give 2 of these tests, you give 2 samples, and they keep 1 in case there's any discrepancy. Why didn't they just test the second sample?
I requested Delta Airlines to please test other sample, and they refused it.
Greg, I want to bring you in here because it's something that most people would probably say doesn't make any sense. I know that you have said in the past that the lab that was involved, called Lab 1, had a level of intentional conduct that perhaps wasn't acceptable. Do you think that the lab in some way wanted to sabotage this employee for some reason?
What the man who ran this 1,000-person lab, Lab 1, wanted to do was to make sure that nobody who might be a cheater got away. So he set the machine to truncate any numbers between 5.9 down to 5. So whereas 5.1, 5.2, 5.3, and so on would all be passing scores, she ultimately showed with a 5.3. What he made sure was that they all were reported as a 5. And so what he was really doing was breaking the rules in order to make sure that some guilty people got caught, and in the process he was knowingly sacrificing innocent people.
Well, it's very important to bring in the Lab 1 response at this time, and I would like to ask you a little bit about it because it gets a little confusing.
Sure.
Essentially, the way it works is that the government regulates this testing procedure, and it had set 2 different levels for creatine, and it's the dates that come into question. So let me read the statement from Lab 1 and how they feel about all of this. Lab 1's drug testing laboratory passed all government inspections with highly acceptable ratings during the time period in question. Lab 1 stands committed to its standards of high-quality testing and compliance with the government's guidelines. Goes on to say Lab 1 is considering all options in response to the verdict, including an appeal. That verdict was $400,000 in compensatory damages. Tell me, Greg, about the possibility of punitive damages and what this might mean across the country for people out there who don't like doing these drug tests.
Well, in such a case, the judge allowed punitive damages to be considered by the jury. The jury awarded $400,000 in compensation. In the next round of cases, I would expect we would see some punitive damage awards. People who came back with a substituted sample allegation in a drug test prior to January of 2000 need to demand the real test and the final results, the actual written results, and they need to talk to a lawyer because there's a large number of victims of this lab, and most people don't have the slightest idea what hit them.
Very quickly, Yasuko, I want to bring you in again because I know what happened when this drug test came up like this. Delta informed not only the FAA but the Department of Transportation, which meant that you were out of luck to try to get jobs anywhere through that industry. You are now back with Delta. Are you happy about being back with the company after all of this?
I'm very happy to be back as a flight attendant because all of my family lives in Japan. So this flight attendant's job means so much for not only myself, for my family too. I'm very happy that I'm working as a flight attendant again.
Well, we will watch to see if any other cases spring up because of what happened out in Oregon with the two of you. Thank you, Greg Kafoury and Yasuko Ishikawa, for the information tonight, and thanks for being on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.